What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about that newest Nintendo Direct, because this was 40 minutes of new games that were just blasted at us. We got new games, trailers, ports, Nintendo Switch exclusives, release dates, gameplay. It was just so many games back to back to back. But what's kind of strange is that it feels like this Nintendo Direct was a little bit controversial. Half the internet seems to have loved it, half of the internet seems to have completely hated it. And personally, I'm a little bit 50-50. I really enjoyed the RPGs, I really enjoyed the Nintendo Switch exclusives we got to see, but some of this stuff, including the 50 farming simulators, were incredibly boring. But let's talk about that. If you could do me a big favor and like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's start things off by talking about, well, it seems like Twitter's reaction to it. This literally just ended a couple of minutes ago. Everyone's kind of posting their disappointment. Even people saying like this, they're disappointed and confused. Obviously, the biggest discussion point right now is that they ended the Direct with a big stinger for Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, where we actually got its official name and its release date, which is apparently going to be May 12th, 2023. The game is going to be called The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, part of the reason this is just so interesting is that the director of the game actually said about a year ago that they were being hesitant to release the name of the game because it will explain everything. So certainly, I'm sure all the lore masters are going to be breaking down every frame, every tease, every bit of this trailer, because it certainly seems like something bigger is going on. We saw different versions of Link, new skydiving, new puzzles, and honestly, this was a pretty good closeout. But let's start things off by talking about the negatives. For the most part, I did enjoy this Nintendo Direct, but some of this stuff just sucked. They showed off Resident Evil Village Cloud version. Whoop-de-doo. I'm so sick of cloud version games on Nintendo Switch. They always look bad. Straight up, they're also bringing Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, but all of it is cloud. I don't care. Obviously, the biggest detriment to this freaking Nintendo Direct was all the farming games. They showed multiple, like in each section of this, they showed a different farming game from a different studio, and yet somehow they all look the same. Some of these are remakes or sequels or spin-offs and stuff. Some of them are more RPG farming games. I do not care about farming games at all. I don't talk about this, but I did landscaping for a long time. Let me tell you, after you've planted about 1,000 flowers in real life, you don't want to plant flowers in a video game. But for some reason, this was the farming Direct. I also didn't really care for the fact that Miyamoto came on stream for a bit, which is great because it's cool to see Miyamoto again. But instead, he just talked about, oh yeah, we have a release date for the Mario movie, which I'm not super hyped about. And they showed a very long trailer for the Pikmin cell phone game. Nobody gives a crap. I think that game's already out, and I'm never ever going to play it. But they did do a tiny short teaser trailer, which unfortunately was purely CGI, confirming that Pikmin 4 does still exist. Kind of interesting, in fact. But let me just sort of blow through some of my notes here, because a lot of the stuff we saw today was very, very new and honestly looked very, very good, starting with Fire Emblem Engage. Apparently this is a character. This is an all-new freaking Fire Emblem game that we're getting early next year, and we're playing as a guy that just woke up from a 1,000-year-long nap, which we've all been there, brother, and he's trying to defend the kingdom against this creature called the Fell Dragon. Now, the trailer itself showed off a lot of combat, a lot of cool stuff. I mean, honestly, it looks incredibly fun to me as a Fire Emblem fan, but I found this interesting motif. Everything is very red and blue. I don't know, something about this game, it's striking me as a game that's probably going to be very, very, very good, especially to people like me that love really long, cool, tedious RPGs. Speaking of that, though, we did also see a new glance at the frickin' Front Mission remakes. They're doing a full remake of Front Mission 1, Front Mission 2, and Front Mission 3. Front Mission 2 never even came to America. Think of these as Fire Emblem with mechs. I've played the original Front Mission game. It's great. I've played Front Mission 3. They're spectacular, weird, very, very deep, niche Square Enix RPGs from the late 90s and early 2000s. The fact that those are coming back, extremely cool. We also saw Octopath Traveler 2, which, yes, I'm absolutely losing my mind. I loved Octopath Traveler 1. I love everything that studio does, including obviously Triangle Strategy. But something about this Octopath Traveler 2 teaser, the game just looks somehow way beyond Octopath Traveler 1. Like the writing, the voice acting, the graphics, they're truly becoming the masters of 2D HD over at Square Enix, and I'm certainly here for it. Now next up, they did a big reveal of the fact that we're about to be getting a new batch of Nintendo 64 online games. So personally, I've kind of been enjoying these Nintendo 64 online games, specifically Mario Golf. I don't know why, but me and my friends play so much Mario Golf and Mario 64 Kart. So they've announced that we're about to be getting Pilot Wing 64, Mario Party 1, 2, and 3, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, 1080 Snowboarding, and GoldenEye 64 with online play. Words cannot express how hyped I am. I have played so much GoldenEye, it is not even funny. The fact that it's actually going to have online play for the multiplayer is extremely epic. At the same time, Microsoft also announced it's going to be coming to Xbox and it's going to have achievements and stuff. I like my Nintendo Switch controllers a lot. I'm probably going to play that on Xbox though, just because I do like unlocking achievements, and it's going to be running at 4K, a million frames a second, which, I got to see for myself. Next up though, they did a deep dive into DLC, which was a bit of a swerve. So they announced a bunch of DLC for Mario Soccer. Nobody gives a crap about that. Nintendo Switch Sports is getting golf. Mario Kart 8 is somehow getting even more maps. I don't know why we don't have Mario Kart 9 by now. They revealed a new character coming to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and they showed off the first Splatfest for Splatoon 3. Now, personally, I've been very addicted to Splatoon 3. I mean, this doesn't really count as DLC because it's just part of how that game works. But the first Splatfest, I'm already ready for it. It's next weekend or the last weekend of this month, and it's going to be great. Splatoon 3, still totally my drug. Still one of the highest selling games ever in Japan. I think it is the highest selling game ever in Japan. And you know what? Tip of the hat to them. Next up, they did their typical montage of random games that are getting ported to Nintendo Switch. And honestly, most of these I just don't care about. Games like Tunic, Rune Factory, Just Dance, Sifu I did enjoy and platinumed on the PlayStation 5. That's finally coming there. There's like a new Danganronpa style investigation game. That's pretty neat. But the biggest of the ports that actually kind of blows my mind, Fatal Frame 4 is finally coming out in America. It's coming out early next year. Fatal Frame 4 Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. This is one of those lost horror games that people have talked about forever, because we've gotten Fatal Frames 1, 2, I don't think we have 0, but we have 1, 2, 3, and 5 in America. So it's cool that we're finally getting Fatal Frame 4, which is one of the more gory, scary games. And it coming to the Nintendo Switch, honestly, it looks kind of spectacular. I'm probably going to play and review that just because, honestly, I love lost horror games so much. After this, they did a big gameplay reveal for Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which I guess is coming out here in just a couple weeks. That game, I feel like it doesn't have enough conversation around it. The fact that there's another Mario strategy RPG game, the sequel obviously to Kingdom Battle, Sparks of Hope, I don't know, something about that art style, it really strikes me. It seems so like quirky and cute. In fact, even in my notes here, I wrote, how is this game so hardcore? It looks grindy in the best way. And I stand by that. I really want to play Sparks of Hope just because it just seems so cool. I like the idea of going around and having to like tactically XCOM take down people in the Mario universe. It works exceptionally well. I like RPGs. This sort of feels like Super Mario RPG's modern equivalent. And the weirdness definitely, to me as a fan who plays a lot of strategy RPGs, I think it's very authentic in a way that only Nintendo could pull off. Then, of course, we saw Bayonetta 3. They showed off a bunch more Bayonetta 3 coming out again also just here in a couple weeks. I already have Bayonetta 3 pre-ordered. I'm very excited to see more of her delicious melons of gameplay. And to finish off here, we saw a couple more remakes, or one game that sort of feels like a remake. Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm is coming back. This is going to have 380 songs. If you haven't tried these, they're Final Fantasy rhythm games. And I'll be honest, even as a guy with absolutely no rhythm, who doesn't even particularly love music, these games are surprisingly freaking addictive. I've played a lot of hours of the one on the 3DS, Curtain Call. That one seems great. Then we saw Final Fantasy Crisis Core Remastered has an actual release date. Obviously, it's called Final Fantasy VII Reunion. It's coming out on December 13th. Like, now that they're showing more of the gameplay, the remade mechanics, the upgraded combat system, the obviously improved assets, it really does look like Final Fantasy Reunion is a total remake, which, as a fan who's played the game a bunch already, I'm certainly down for that. And finally, they announced they're doing a Tales of Symphonia remaster. Of course, I wish it was something like Skies of Arcadia instead, but I'll take it. Overall, I had fun watching this Nintendo Direct. It was fun. It was very, very quick. I appreciated the fact that they just hit game after game, trailer after trailer, release dates, demos, big gameplay stuff. It was very, very colorful. But I will agree with the criticisms that there is just stuff in the middle of this that was downright boring. All these farming games, some people keep calling this the Weeb Direct because it did have anime games and all these RPGs, but as a fan who enjoys strategy and stuff, I thought this was a big W. Had some problems, yeah. Could they have tightened it up? Yeah. Should this maybe have been like 25 minutes? Probably. But for a 40-minute direct filled with a lot of good surprises, I'm still happy. But tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Ooh boy. Alright, well, time to play some Nintendo Switch. Splatoon, baby. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.